Hello everybody, welcome back. We got ourselves a 6K Underlord Offlane replay. And he says, this game was pretty hard and I feel like we only won because they repeatedly threw. Nevertheless, wanted to know how I could have played the lane better. I wanted my Earthshaker to drag wave, but he didn't. But it wasn't too bad because I felt like I'm fairly strong versus Undying Spectre. It actually did okay in the lane after the first few minutes. Moreover, I ended up getting 4 to 5 man rotations multiple times in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game. Although it feels like these deaths felt bad, it seemed fairly worth it because I feel like I was creating a metric fuck ton of space. Am I correct or incorrect for thinking that way? Lastly, I typically go Pipe versus Zeus, but since Eternal Shroud is Giga Value on Underlord, I felt it was better and I told my Ursa Monkey King to kill Zeus ASAP because I was not planning on building a pipe.
Banana slam jam.
So when it comes to building pipe on offlaners in these types of scenarios, it's really important to think of what kind of cores you have. So what I need you to think about is that you have two carries that generally lack sustain, other than Monkey King's Jingu, which isn't that great, like in terms of reliable sustain, and Ursa nowadays, who usually doesn't build Morbid Mask. So my issue is that you're not building pipe against a lot of poke damage from Zeus, Spectre, as well as even just Axe to start the fights, like even just like getting harassed around the map. So I personally think pipe was really important in this game, based on the lineups that I'm looking at. You also have like two supports that could benefit, like at least the Earthshaker that could benefit from the pipe. So I think when it comes to like Eternal Shroud versus pipe, it's all about whether or not your team will benefit from the pipe. And that may change based on what I see in the game, meaning, you know, maybe at this stage in the game, both your carries have BKBs or something. But I feel like against Zeus, it's actually like impossible to end the game unless you have like Jug, unless you have a pipe. So I'm pretty sure against Zeus, as well as the other heroes on the Radiant lineup, you really should have built a pipe. I don't think you can just tell your cores to just kill the Zeus, you know? But okay, let's go ahead. So when it comes to like rotations that you're forcing and stuff, what I like to think is, was there anything you could have done differently? And if the answer is no, then 4 and 5 man rotations are okay. Otherwise, we'll check out anything you could have done better. So yeah, your matchup against Undying is not as terrible as a lot of other strength heroes. You have really high base damage, you have a passive that gives you damage, so you don't usually struggle in the damage department. But I wouldn't be fighting at the rune like this for sure. Underlord's like a pretty weak rune contester in general, unless he's allowed to like plop his Firestorm on the ground. So it's like if you're going to contest there, especially since you have a stick and you're fighting two heroes, you either need to use your Q or just not be there. It's kind of like your two choices. So it's like these are the type of scenarios where I tell you I don't necessarily know if I would have contested the rune, but if I'm going to contest the rune, it's going to look like this. And that's something you need to think about to yourself about almost every decision in the game, is if I'm going to do this, what's it going to look like? And it's something that you can start to do on literally almost every micro decision, and I feel like a lot of 6K players don't do this at all. It's like, if I'm going to contest this rune, they're going to fight us. It's not going to be a good trade unless I use Firestorm. Then I'm going to use Firestorm. It's like, if you use Firestorm there, and it still looks this bad, then you know you should just never contest the rune. But right now, the only thing I know is you should have used Firestorm. That's all I know. And that's why it's so important, like when you get 4 or 5 man rotated on, was there a way you could have lived? Was there a way that you could have known that they were coming and maybe just dodged the death in general? Like, these are the things where it's like, what I was doing, could I have done it more optimally? And if the answer is yes, I'm going to try it again later, doing it more optimally. If the answer is no, then I'm not going to do it next time. And the problem I have with that rune contest is that you clearly didn't really think about it ahead of time. So yeah, this is Undying Dota. I would usually build Windlace here, by the way. Windlace is, in my opinion, way more value than this. But basically, you have 295 move speed, Undying has 300, and you bought no movement speed. What does Undying do? He runs at you. What does Underlord need to do? Not get ran at, right? So it's like, I think the Windlace should have been in your starting items. This is a lane where instead of starting with a Salve, I would have started Tango's Windlace stick, and maybe like a Fairy Fire or something, and then bought myself a Salve right away. You have to account for like each stage of the lane, right? So level 1, you need a stick and a Windlace. Level 2, you need, or like eventually you'll need a Salve. So you're just fucking manning up on them. It's like, you tried. I personally wouldn't be doing this play. I'd be doing the dodge game where I'm trying to get levels, because I know like level 3 I'm stronger than level 3 Spectre. That's kind of how I think about it. But, like, I see that you were trying it and it was really close, so I don't want to tell you not to do that kind of stuff. You can just see how the salve isn't really, like, immediately needed. It's like, there's lanes where you almost always need a salve, and this is definitely one of them, but you don't need it level 1. And that's, like, a really important distinction, by the way. The difference between you and me, like, you know, you're 6k, I'm 9k, it's like, this is a big difference. I know I need the salve minute 2.5, minute 1:45, while you buy the salve in your starting items. Seems minute, seems like it isn't maybe that big a deal, but it is. So that's the kind of stuff you guys need to start thinking about. Exactly when you need your items, exactly how you play the lane, and exactly how you like approach each stage of the lane. These little things add up a lot. Basically, if I do it and you don't, I shit on you in lane. Like, that's how it goes. Okay, so we end up killing Undying. Great. It's really hurting you that you have no move speed in this lane. It's, like, really hurting you. The fact that you haven't recognized it yet is really bad as well. Like, I would have Boots Windlace first 2 items here, for sure. No strength hero ever fights Undying, man. You just don't. Like, you can make him chase you out of position and then turn him and kill him like you did here. But that requires you to run to a spot that he's out of position, right? So I would have Boots Windlace every time. Gotta pick your battles. When Undying picks the battles, you lose them. So I see your approach, you're like statting up and like sitting inside of your Firestorm. I think that's like your eventual plan. That'd be great as you get more and more points in Firestorm. Okay, well this Spectre's just a dumbass. As you get more and more points in Firestorm, I think this plan can work. And thus, like, if you go Boots, Windlace, then stat items, the timings I think would line up a lot better. So I like that you understand you can do that, but you needed to do it later in the lane so you don't like feed twice. Spectre kind of handed you the lane back, which was really nice of her. So Undying's kind of just giving up on the lane, it seems like. So I feel like in this game, I'm probably going Greaves. My team has just absolutely no sustain. Neither of my teammates in the support roles buy support items. Like Earthshaker goes like Blink and shit. Coddle usually goes Ags. Maybe like Force Staff, but none of it's going to be like mech or anything. So like I'm looking at the opponent lineup and all I think to myself is I need sustain. So if you think you need double Bracer in order to go Greaves, then sure. I feel like here I'd probably go like Boots, Windlace, Magic Wand, maybe 1 Bracer. Like I think the 1 Bracer is probably good. Probably Casual Cloak into Mana Boots. That's like how I'm approaching this. As an Underlord, the difference I've talked about in like my Slardar videos, for instance, I talked about it in the guide for Slardar, is like for Slardar, you need items that enable your hero's kit. Like you need to blink on top of people and all that kind of shit. For Underlord, you literally just need items that enable your team because your kit kind of does the same thing. So whether or not that's like a Rod of Atos in order to lock people down because you have no stuns, or whether or not that's because your team is a bunch of stuns and a bunch of damage with no sustain, you just buy a bunch of sustain. That's kind of how Underlord works, right? He's like one of these generic aura building, utility building offlaners. So everything I do on Underlord is based on my team. Like, it has to be. You just have to do it. I've had games where I went aura thinking this is how Underlord has to be played, and it's like if my teammates build no stuns, I have to go Atos on Underlord. It kind of sucks, but like if they have Zeus and I have no stuns, I have to go Atos and kind of get fucked. That usually means your draft is just kind of bad. But the point is that when you said like, you know, you kind of considered your own hero and not your teammates, I don't like that. I also don't like Soul Ring because you're dealing with sustain issues. Don't like it at all. I'm really tired of offlaners buying Soul Ring when they have health sustain issues. I think it's a huge like oversight by you guys. You just need to stop. It happens in my bracket too, like these like 7k offlaners. If you're gonna have health sustain issues, you don't buy Soul Ring. Like you're not just laning at Spectre at this point. Spectre is a trade hero. I literally made a YouTube video on this, but you're also dealing with a Zeus. It's like you need to be full health at all times because you're dealing with Zeus, and you're also going to take random damage from Zeus. Like, you know, every few minutes you're just going to get hit for 300 damage or 225. So, like, sustain issues are a problem of yours, and Soul Ring is not, like, going to solve that, right? So you're going to probably go Soul Ring Hood Boots or, like, Boots Hood. I really think you need mana, but since you have sustain issues, you need to go mana boots. Like, if I was going to go Soul Ring in a game like this, I would have to go Tranquils. Like, you don't even want to use the Soul Ring. Okay, so he dies again. That's nice. So I don't like mind what you're doing here. I'm just going to tell you your vision of the game is like completely inaccurate. Like the fact that you built a Soul Ring alone tells me your vision of the game is inaccurate. I know that sounds so harsh, guys, but it's like so fucking obvious to me. I have to like keep harping on it. It's like you go into that fight missing 300 health because you don't really have enough sustain, and then you Soul Ring yourself. So it's like you go into that fight missing 300 health. And if you don't value that 300 health against the lineup you're dealing with, Soul Rip Burst, Zeus Burst, Spectre Haunt, Spearbreaker Global Presence, then, like, you just don't have the right priorities, in my opinion. So I think the way you're playing the lane and the way that you're, like, playing around your teammates and stuff is all good. But, like, your vision of what it takes to do that job is wrong. So you end up going Hood afterwards. So it's like you understand you're having sustain issues. So what I need you to see from what I'm talking to you about is that there needs to be no holes in the plot here. There needs to be no gaps in the power spikes. Underlord is not like a BKB building or like a huge ultimate timing hero. Underlord is like Venomancer, where he's like slowly ramping up and he needs to consistently get stronger and stronger. Consistently, but slowly but surely, stronger and stronger. That's how Underlord works, right? Like, if you had to ask yourself, what are Underlord's power spikes? It's like, you know, there's no clear power spikes. It's not like his level 6, his level 5, 4, 3. It's like 3 is a decent power spike, 5 is a decent power spike just because the level's in Firestorm, but none of these things are nearly like power spikes of other heroes. So, like, what I'm seeing is you're like, filling in the picture eventually, but during the process of making the picture, there's, like, a bunch of, you know, ugly shit going on. And that's what needs to be fixed. You're not approaching individual moments in the lane well enough. Wow, you barely died to an axe call when you got a 4-man rotation on you. BSJ, is this bad? Is this space? Is this good? It would be great if you had mana boots and no Soul Ring so that you had full health and maybe you live. But I don't actually know if you live, right? Like, I don't actually know. But you have to agree with me that you could have more health here. If you're going to go Soul Ring, go Tranquils. If you're gonna, like, have self-sustain issues, don't go Soul Ring. That's kind of like your two choices here. I'm seeing you operate at, like, half health. I don't know if you noticed, but the majority of the damage you took there was actually just Firestorming the Spectre and taking Dispersion. That's what I literally made my YouTube video about. It's like, the guy's playing against a Spectre and he buys Soul Ring. It's like, what does he expect to happen? He's gonna have health sustain issues because he's literally killing himself on the Spectre. Like, you don't even have to, like, do anything wrong. You just hit the guy with damage and you're gonna take damage. Okay. So you do go Hood. Sustain issues should be good from now on. So in these types of spots, I think your items are all good. So let's just look at the map as you approach this tower, right? Let's look at the map. Nobody's showing. Spectre has Haunt. Axe and Spearbreaker are respawning. How do you feel about this? Right? So, do I mind that you forced a 4-man rotation? No. Do you have the map awareness of a potato? Absolutely. Because there's 2 heroes that are going to kill you, or, like, have the potential to try to kill you, and they're going to look for kills, that are respawning literally the second. Right? Literally right now. So this is the spot where you assume the guys that are going to kill, in this case the Axe and the Spearbreaker, are going to immediately hunt for kills. Immediately, because that's what they're going to do. 100% of the time, right? Like, what else are they going to do? Let them prove to you that they're doing something else. So then what happens is you say, okay, I need to know where they are. So you give them like 10, 15 seconds to show themselves. Whether or not they're going to show top, whether or not they show mid, whatever. If you see this tower taking damage, then you know they're doing something. Like, it gives you information. You did the correct aspect of pushing this lane in. But now don't give them this kill. This is not good. It's not good at all. It's not good because it's completely predictable and unavoidable. And avoidable. Unnecessary. You could have forced this Axe to TP by just doing what you did and then backing off right when he respawned. I guarantee you he still TPs. And then he feels like trash because he TP'd bottom and didn't kill you. So no, I don't consider deaths like that good. I consider those feats.
Double kill. Killing spree. I will ignore your email number of kills.
Okay. So now you're stuck fighting on your triangle a bit. Atos. I think this is like the most Greaves pipe looking game I've ever fucking seen, my man. I don't know what else to say about that. You have 2 mana hungry cores, sustain hungry cores, and you have no team fight building from your teammates. So you do take the tower, and then you TP mid to help defend. I like your overall map movements. Like where you're putting yourself on the map is correct.
A dominating performance.
That Soul Ring almost fucking killed you again, man. Okay. So Earthshaker's taking the safe farm, which is good because he needs his blink. What's his status? 600 gold away? Okay. So, map positioning is good. My only issue is why don't we have a mech?
Double kill.
Why don't we have a mech? Why do we have an Atos? Or why are we building one? Why is this Soul Ring Atos not Mana Boots mech? That's... I don't know. So here's the cool part for me, buddy. Being that you're 6k MMR, I expect there to be a lot of things that you're doing right. But to be honest with you guys, I do get 6k MMR players in my game sometimes. And I feel like when I play with them, what it feels like is that they don't think about the game at all. And you may say, BSJ, that sounds really rude. What do you mean? Well, it's like, you're going to be team fighting around mid. You're actually approaching the map correctly, meaning that you applied a bunch of pressure top, or sorry, bottom. You took the tower bottom, and then you're going to be playing mid, and all you need to do is be alive for these things. Like, notice how all your job has been is to create pressure on bottom, then relieve pressure on mid, and create pressure on mid. And you've been doing that. So what I mean is, like, your play, in terms of where you put yourself on the map, makes sense to me. Like, it makes sense. You're accurately assessing your job in the game. And then you're just, like, not building the right items to do your job. Like, why do you have phase boots if you're supposed to just sit under a tower or sit on top of a tower pushing it? Like, phase boots mean I'm running around the map chasing people, right? I'm running around the map away from people, you know? Like, you think you're running away from Axe, Spearbreaker, Spectre? Like, you're not running away from this shit, right? It's like, you need to stand your ground and make them fight into you. Whether or not that's at your own towers or whether or not you're pressuring their towers. So what I see with you guys in the 6k bracket is that obviously you're pretty high skill, but your vision of the game just makes no sense to me. I feel like you guys don't even consider it at all. So this is when people ask, BSJ, I'm stuck at 5k. I'm stuck at 6k. Why am I stuck, BSJ? Well, what I'm seeing in this game is a ton of windows, ton of holes in your power spikes where you're like leaving yourself vulnerable and weak. Whether or not that's with your map positioning underneath the tower when they're respawning on Axe, or whether or not that's that stage in the game where you have Soul Ring and no hood. It's like, it just doesn't work, because you're going to get punished and you're going to die. right? Like that's how high MMR works. Because you are punishable, most of the time you will get punished. Because the higher skill your opponents, the more likely they are to punish you. So I want you to be confident in what it takes, or like what you're doing on the map. I think your map movements have been good. Now, what I need you to do better is think to yourself what you actually need to do that job. How many of these times in these team fights, in these engagements you're in, have you said, man, I wish I had an Atos to catch that guy? Have you really thought that to yourself? Like, the 7 times in a row that you've been jumped and killed, you've thought, I needed an Atos? Dude, Dota's literally just what's in front of you, what's happening, what do I need to solve this problem? With what's happening to you, your assessment of I need an Atos just blows my mind. It literally blows my mind. Think to yourself. I want to say I respect your gameplay, meaning like I actually think what you're doing on the map is very good. But dude, come on, man! You can't have been consciously thinking what's going wrong in this game and then buy an Atos. Come on, man. The Atos for getting jumped and bursted full to 0? Like, that's what the Atos is for? Come on, man. Come on. So the way Offlane works is if your team didn't need a pipe, then you get to build this dope-ass item. You know what I mean? That's how Offlane works. So it's like, I ask myself, do my teammates need this pipe? And if the answer is no, then you don't buy a pipe and you buy this fucking dope-ass item. But if you ask yourself, do my teammates need a pipe? And I assure you this game, they need a fucking pipe. Then you have to just buy a pipe. You know? That's kind of like the 3 on the rung. You're still getting farm, but you have to consider your teammates first. Right? So that's how I think 3 should be played. That's my opinion. The great thing to ask yourself is when you buy this Atos, where's the value? What have we done with it? If we got it earlier, would it have made a difference? Okay, we do end up killing that axe, arguably because it gets fissured, but maybe the Atos. So the way I look at your team's timings is that your Earthshaker is going to get this Blink Dagger, and all you guys will have problems with once he gets Blink is the sustain aspect, right? You're not going to have stun issues because you have an Earthshaker with a Blink Dagger. So I need my sustain items to line up with his Blink Dagger. Okay, so we're building into our next item, pushing in bottom and pressuring it. This is fine. No pressure being applied top. They don't really have a Roche lineup. Thing is, you do have an Ursa, so it's worth considering that you play top instead of bottom. So here, my issue is that you need... Okay, you do TP mid. That's good. So when you were playing bottom there, I think it's worth considering to do exactly what you did bottom top. And that's because your goal is to create pressure. It's like, so you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to go bottom to create pressure. But by pushing top when you have an Ursa, you're actually creating pressure on Dire, right? Because you have Roche. So I think, like, I like what you're doing bottom, but I think it would be better done top. Like, how you're doing it is fine. What you should be doing is top, I think, because of the fact that you have an Ursa. So notice how your team tried to smoke into Roche. It's like when you're pushing bottom like this and you see your teammates smoking away from you, you do have to ask yourself, is it because my teammates are dumb or is it because I'm pushing the wrong lane? Because Underlord's the hero people smoke too, right? Like, you're usually not in the smoke. You're the one that gets smoked towards. You're the guy pushing the lane. So if that's the case, if you're the guy that's supposed to push the lanes, then ask yourself, man, should my teammates not be stupid and smoke away from me, or should I have been just pushing top? And I think in this specific case, because you have an Ursa and where they were looking to Roche, that it's your fault. Nice. Okay. Yeah, so they 3 or 4-man ganked you bottom and then tried to fight at Roche. I would say that was overall, like, good impact from you. What does this do again? I know it puts it on top of you. Okay, heal him for... Yeah, so now they're just running into an Underlord. Very cool. See, like, these are the moments where you just need Greaves. So what I want you to notice is your HP and your teammates' HP. And I want you to think, how does that make you feel?
Killing spree. Oh, no. Donage. Killing spree. Double kill.
So it is like randomly haunted. You go Maelstrom. I guess you're going Gleipnir. So this game's definitely over at this point. Basically, what I want to tell you, man, is that you are on the right track in regards to the way you play the map, but in the way you envision your role in the game, I think you're just like eons off point here. I feel like if this were if you were in a 1v9 vacuum, meaning that it was just your hero against theirs, your items would be perfect. But when you have to think about your hero in the grand scheme of like a 10 hero game where you have 4 teammates and what they're going to do for you and how you can best enable them and complement their skills, it's like a 1 out of 10. Right? Like if you really think about it. And I would guess that you're NA. I'm actually curious. Does it tell you server? US East. Yeah. This is basically US East in a nutshell, my friend. I could have recognized this from a mile away. What I'm trying to do for this region, in regards to, like, I'm not some fucking savior, but I'm trying to help rework the mindset that makes other regions better than us, is that you are not an individual on this team. You are a part of a group of 5. I guarantee you, if you're going to pick offlane aura builders, that you should itemize them correctly. Like, I just know you're supposed to do that, right? Like, you just have to. So I see your items enabling you, but they don't help your teammates at all. And you don't need 3 carries. You need 1 or 2 carries maximum, and 3 other people to enable them with stuns, sustain, save. Right? That's what we need. And you did not enable your teammates properly this game, but at the same time, I think several parts of your game are on the right track. So I don't want you to completely forget how you're playing this game. I just want you to approach the game differently. Thanks for watching, buddy. Hope you learned something there. If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that shenanigans, because at the end of the day, YouTube does care about that. You may not care about it, I may not care about it, but the YouTube algorithm does. So please do.